It's time for the mid-year freakout tag. Is that what this is called? Let's do a book tag. Hello, book friends. It's Alyssa. Welcome back to the channel. Hello, if you are new. I was tagged by the lovely Roro Reads in the, checking my notes, mid-year freakout tag. So we're gonna do that because I haven't posted a video in a little while. I have a couple videos to edit and I figure this will be quick and easy and dirty and we can get this up. Don't mind the mic right here. We have to do some weird angles because we have a new addition to the family who will probably be poking his little head in here. Right over here is our new baby, Alfie. Alfie the alien. His original name was Alien, but he doesn't seem to answer to that, so we have got an approximation, and his name is Alfie. He's 5 years old. He's been with us for about a week now. He's been off the track for maybe about 3 weeks, and he is a good boy, if not a very rambunctious boy. And then, of course, you can see the feats of my lovely baby girl, Mercy, here. So if he doesn't make an appearance, I'll put up a picture of him so you can see him. It's not just me gesturing to a dog off camera. But anyway, that's enough rambling. Let's just jump into this because I have very few books pulled. I do have some answers written out. So let's jump in with the first question. The best book so far this year. So I have two, one for fiction, one for nonfiction. If you can hear the air conditioning kick on, it's summer. So first is Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector. I just finished this and I am going to be doing a discussion on the podcast with Naomi in a little bit. We are on hiatus for the summer, but we will be discussing it. So that will be getting filmed, recorded, etc. But I'm also going to do a very brief overview of my feelings here on the channel so that you guys can see it as well, because I know not everybody cross watches, etc. all of my content. Editing Alyssa, realizing I never actually told you how I felt about Near to the Wild Heart. So Near to the Wild Heart is phenomenal. I knew Clarice Lispector would not let me down. I read her short story collection that came out a couple years ago, The Complete Stories, loved it. And this is my first novel from her, and it's also her first novel, and it's so good. She is a genius. It is existential. It is feminist. It is hitting on a lot of themes that I've been reading a lot lately, like what it means to be a wife, how wifedom takes away from a woman's personhood, whereas it can also just, it adds to a man's life. This creative beast that's inside of you. How do you reconcile two sides of yourself, the conventional side that is trying to fit society's expectations and your unconventional, creative, wild spirit? It is such a good book, and I cannot wait to discuss this with Naomi, and I cannot wait to break it down a little bit for you guys in a full review, but I loved it. Please read Clarice Lispector. She is just a goddess. She's a goddess. Love it. So good. Yeah. Speaking of content, subscribe to the newsletter if you want to know what I'm reading every week, if you want to know some random things that are going on in my life, if you want to know about new additions to the family like Alfie ahead of everybody else, subscribe to the newsletter. It's down in a link below. My favorite nonfiction book so far this year, this was tough because there's been a lot of them, but I'm going to go with Dead Weight, which I can't remember the author's name, but it's right here because why would I have written that down? And this is a collection of essays about eating disorders and body image and body dysmorphia, and I found them fascinating, relatable, oftentimes triggering, even though the author does the best that anyone can with such a topic to keep things from being too triggering or from becoming almost like a handbook on how to, but I thought it was fascinating. I think about it often, and so I put it on this list for the mid-year freakout because I feel like it's important. I feel like it's a topic that a lot of women, but also men, deal with, and I think that it's worth reading, learning about, especially if you have somebody in your life that maybe is struggling with body image and body dysmorphia and eating disorders, just to understand them better, and then maybe through understanding them better, you can be a better partner, lover, friend, parent, sibling, etc., 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 to them, and help them through what is a lifelong struggle. So anyway, Question 2, the best sequel I've read so far this year. This was difficult to choose between the Hobbs because I've read 2 sequels I've read 3 sequels so far this year. 2 of them are Robin Hobb books, but we're going with Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. Really enjoying my Hobb journey. You're going to see a lot of Hobb on this list, I think. Loved it. I just like what she's doing with the magic and the world building in this particular chunk of the realm of the Elderling. Question 3, a new releases that I haven't read yet, but I want to. I have 2. One is Private Rights by Julia Armfield. I just got my copy from the UK because it came out a couple weeks ago from the UK, and it's coming out, I think, in September or so here in the US, but I couldn't wait. So I do have a copy. I just need to get to it. Well, I will probably get to it by the end of the summer because I'm super excited for that. It's longer than Our Lives Under the Sea, which just makes me excited for more amazing writing. There was a clip of her on Instagram reading, I think, the opening lines, and they sound so good. So excited. And then there's also a collection of short stories from Amor Towles. I think it's called Table for Two. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. So if I'm wrong, it's going to be right over there. I just love Amor Towles. Something about his writing I just really connect with. I think it's because when I first read Rules of Civility, which was his first book, it is so... I love anything for New York, and I love anything that makes me nostalgic for a New York City I have never lived in and will never be able to see. And I feel like Rules of Civility is one of those books, and it just made me fall in love with him as an author. I obviously loved A Gentleman in Moscow. I think that book is phenomenal. I think at the point with the bees, when the bees come back, I cried. I did really like Lincoln Highway. I think that of the 3, it's the one I like the least, but I still really loved it. So I'm very excited to read these short stories. And I think there's one that connects in characters from Rules of Civility, if I remember correctly. So excited for those. Number 4, anticipated release for the second half of the year. I did not write down the full questions, which is why I'm stumbling through the questions for you guys, because I'm trying to take my scribblings and shorthand and make it into sentences, and I am not good at that. Anyway, so my anticipated releases for the second half of the year, I think I have 2 really big ones. One is obviously Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I am not blessed to have gotten an arc of that. I am not that important, so I have to wait like all the other plebs for their copies when it comes out in September. I might have both the US and the UK editions coming. And then also the final Lore Olympus graphic novel is coming out at the, I think in October, sometime this fall. And I love Lore Olympus. I have the newest one that came out a couple months ago to get to as well. I think it's book 5, and then book 6 is it 6 and 7, something like that. The final one does come out this year, and I cannot wait. And I also can wait for that to end. It's a great graphic novel. It's beautiful. The series is beautifully, it's a webtoon originally, and it's beautifully drawn, and it's the story of Persephone's in Haiti, and I just love it. I think that it's well done. It's moving. I could watch Persephone in Hades just like walk around the underworld, talking, working through things, for, I think, pages and pages and pages. Like, I love how Rachel Smythe has done this series. It's gorgeous. Anyway, question 5, the biggest disappointment so far this year. I think I have 2 notable ones. Obviously, the Darcy myth, which I have an entire rant on, which did phenomenally well. And I didn't think anybody was going to watch this. I thought this was like such a like an incredibly niche thing to be ranting about on the internet, but people liked it. So I did not like this book. I thought this was horrendously done. I was expecting some really well-written, well-researched, well-constructed piece on our relationship as readers to Mr. Darcy and how that like maybe colors our romantic relationships or our ideas of romance and marriage and love and all that. No, it was trash. It was awful. I will try to remember to link any videos I referenced down below so you guys can watch them if you feel like it. But if you've watched that rant, you know how bad that was. I don't know how this was published. It was so bad. And then my other really big disappointment was the 3rd Crescent City novel, House of Flame and Shadow, which I read back in February. And I do like Sarah J. Maas books in general. I know that they're kind of like popcorn books to me. They're cotton candy books. They are something that just when I just want to like escape into something that I don't need to care too much about, I enjoy them. And I really liked Crescent City, especially like the first one is very mystery based. There is this element of mystery to it all. And I really ate that up. I liked the characters. I liked the world. I thought it was fun. The second one was good. And there was this hint of all of her books kind of colliding and into one world. Like we were in one greater world in her 3 series, which I love that idea. I think that that's fun when that happens, when authors do that. I think it's a great time. It's a very superhero movie where like all the books, now I feel like I'm taking something from Roro. It's very like, it is very Marvel movie. Like everybody comes together and you have all these different characters colliding into like one big battle, right? And I think most of the fandom I think the fandom did a better job of writing book 3 and how all those worlds were going to connect than Sarah J. Maas did. And that was ultimately incredibly disappointing. Also, like Sarah, that is not how a black hole works. It is still irritating me, the ending of Crescent City 3. It's not how black holes work. Anyway, my biggest surprise, and I was looking back and I'm like, I think that I need to change my rating for this because in retrospect, this book feels like I liked it more than allegedly I did when I rated it. But that's Geek Love. I don't think I knew what I was getting myself into. And then I read this and it was so much fun. Like this is such a blast. It is so bonkers and the characters are out of this world, and I didn't expect the cult aspect of it, and it's so good. It's such a good book. I understand why this is like a really beloved cult classic, and I think I need to go back and adjust my rating because I gave it like 3.5 stars, but I think this is more like 4.5. Like I'm really. It's been sitting with me. I really have been enjoying it. That was one of my biggest surprises of the year so far. My new favorite author of the year is definitely Robin Hobb. Easy, hands down. That I didn't even have to think about that when I was writing this down because I launched myself into the world of the realm of the Elderlings, and I'm in love. I'm absolutely in love. And everybody who told me I was going to love Robin Hobb, you know me. You know me. You knew I was going to love it, and I did. I loved it. I still need to read Ship of Destiny. I was going to be reading that in June, but then I got COVID at the end of the month, and that just ate a week of my life. COVID did me dirty this time around. I think this is officially my 2nd time having COVID, probably my 3rd, and it did me dirty. Okay. Anyway, but I'm feeling better. I'm just really tired and still a little foggy headed sometimes, but just mostly tired. Question 8, the newest fictional crush. Okay. I don't really have any fictional crushes. I don't think the books that I've read for the most part allow for that. I don't really have crushes like that. It's like really rare when I read a character and I'm like, yeah, that's like the archetype of a man that I'm like into or whatever. So I'm going to change this a little bit and call this like my favorite ship, like my favorite relationship, the favorite like pairing that I want. And it's a ship that doesn't exist. Okay. And that is Fitz and the Fool. I talked about it enough in my, Assassin's Apprentice little wrap up that I did after I finished the trilogy. And I need the Fitz and the Fool. I need them. I need like all the fanfic where they're together because I need that so bad. Moving on. Anyway, question number 9. My favorite newest character. I think I'm just gonna go with the Fool. I love the Fool. I think that the Fool is such a fun character. He's reminiscent almost of something out of Shakespeare, and especially in the beginning when we first meet him, meet them. Anyway, I love the Fool. I think the Fool is such a wonderful character and added so much to that trilogy. And I think they come back in Tawny Man, and I can't wait. Yeah. Anyway, I gotta get back into my hob because I'm missing everybody. I miss everybody. Is it weird that I miss all those characters? Anyway, question 10, a book that made me cry. I feel like there's probably a few of these on the list, but the most recent book that made me cry was A Good Life, which I do have a review for. I got this from Europa. Thank you again to Europa. This book was so good. I think if you have siblings, especially if you have sisters, if you're sisters, you should read this book. It is heartbreaking and heartwarming and just life affirming, and it's so wonderful. I think I said in my review that the entire time I was reading it, I mean, I finished this at like 4 in the morning and then filmed a review. I was so like, I want to call my brother and tell him that I love him, but I swear to God, if I call my brother at 4 in the morning and tell him I love him or send him a text message, he's gonna think I'm gonna harm myself. He's gonna be like, what happened? Are you okay? So I didn't do that, but in my head, I did that. Question 11, a book that made me happy. I just put a series. So I restarted the Veronica Speedwell mystery series. It's a mystery romance, and I'm through 2 of them. I'm just sort of peppering them throughout the year. I think there's 8 or 9 in total. I'm just peppering them throughout because they just make me, oh, you got a little cameo of some Alfie feet. I'm just peppering them throughout the year because they just make me happy. They're set in like late Victorian times. The romantic characters are so quick-witted and flirtatious and smart and independent, and I can't wait for them to actually fall in love and admit it to themselves. And we got like, it's just, the mysteries are fun, the characters are wacky in the best way, and I just love it. I love Deanna Raybourne's books. I find them so well written and engaging. She has another series which I'll put up on the screen that I've read. I think it's, I get the Lady Emily and the Lady Julia Gray series confused, like who wrote which, but the one that Deanna Raybourne wrote, which I think is the Lady Julia Gray, is so good. And the male, like, love interest in this, Brisbane, I love him so much. He is such a good character. Love him. Anyway, so yeah, these books just make me happy. Deanna Raybourne books just make me happy in general. Question 12, my favorite book to film adaptation that I've watched this year. I don't really watch a lot of movies, or TV in general, so I don't really have a lot of answers or a lot of things to go through to answer for this. And I'm trying to remember because I feel like I've watched a couple things. I know I watched Elena Knows and I didn't like that. And that may have been at the end of last year or the beginning of this year. So I'm going to say no to Elena Knows. And then I feel like I watched something else. I know I watched Saltburn. I love that, but that's not based on a book specifically. I've watched half of Bridgerton and I do enjoy it, but I think that they're straying a bit from the books in several ways. And there's a little bit more creative license going on with the show. And I don't mind that. I think that it's fun and those are just escapism for me, but I wouldn't call it a favorite. So I'm just going to go with The Gentleman in Moscow because I'm enjoying this. We have 1.5, 2 episodes left of this miniseries, and I'm enjoying it. I'm still crying. I think that it's not like the best adaptation, but it's good enough that it feels like they're respectful to the book, and I'm enjoying it. My partner's enjoying it. We both really love A Gentleman in Moscow. Anyway, that's the best answer I got. I feel like there's something else I mean, I know I watched Leave the World Behind, which I think was fine, but I also felt the book was kind of fine. Like I didn't feel very blown away with either, but they were good. And then I feel like there was something else I watched. I've rewatched a lot of Austen adaptations as I've been doing my year of Austen. Loved those. But I always love those. Question 13, favorite video I made this year. Okay, so the favorite video that I made this year is my rant video because it was fun to film, it was fun to edit, and it did really well, but like I really liked it. And I think maybe that's why it did really well, is like I was clearly impassioned while I was doing this rant. But the favorite video I was a part of this year was a live that we did with Alex the Disco King, where he did this like literary quiz show with a bunch of other creators, including Aurora Reeds, who tagged me in this video, Katie Books, Biblio Sophie, which sounds better when Sophie says it. Who else was on there? Charlotte Malloy. Was somebody else on that video? I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. And oh, Bob the Booker. It was Charlotte, Bob, Roro, Katie, me, Sophie, obviously Alex. Oh, I think one other person was supposed to be on it and they couldn't make it. I think I've got everybody. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. COVID brain. Okay, anyway, that was fun. I had a blast. That was probably one of the best things I've done as like a booktube creator, is having that live and just having so much fun with other creators. We had such a good time. Oh, there was one other person. Oh my gosh, I don't remember her name. Anyway, I will try to find a link to it. I think I've got it somewhere, and I will post it up here in the description, because that was so much fun. And I really hope that Alex does another round of this, and I hope that at some point I'm invited back. And I now know what Kafka looks like, okay? I know now. So those are my two answers for question 13. Question 14, what is the most beautiful book that you've acquired this year, whether it's been gifted to you or you've bought it? And technically I bought these back in 2023, but I finally got them this year. And one of my favorite places to get special editions from outside of the Folio Society and like the standards is Litjoy Crate. I think they do some really beautiful special editions when they do special editions. They're usually in some sort of fantasy world. I've got a couple of things from them, like My Strange Dreamers. I've got that duology. It's gorgeous. Those are actually annotated by the author as well. But anyway, so they've been coming out with Neil Gaiman's, and I have been buying them. So far I've got Coraline, which is, I think, stunning. They do a really beautiful job with these. And I mean, there's sprayed edges, and like the end papers are gorgeous, and there's illustrations throughout. And they're numbered. I don't remember if they're signed as well, but they're gorgeous. Like they have the title things, and there's just little illustrations throughout all of these, and I love them. And they did come with slip cases that you could have bought separately, but I didn't end up getting them because I didn't want to spend the extra money. But I kind of always have gift cards to this place, so I just kind of rack up any points I have, and I end up spending them on special editions when they come out. So I did get Coraline, and I got Stardust. And I think Stardust is really pretty. It's even got a little thing. I don't think Coraline has one. And I think I've got The Ocean at the End of the Lane coming as well later this year. That one is also gorgeous. More sprayed edges. I mean, they're just really beautifully done books. Oh, this one's got these like vellum layovers, which I think are really cool. And I can't wait to see what The Ocean at the End of the Lane looks like. And I do read these special editions. I do read because they are so beautiful. This one isn't annotated, but like when they do annotated editions, I love to read the annotated editions just to see what the author is adding to the story, because they're usually stories that I've already really loved. So I do recommend Litjoy Crate special editions. I know that some people don't like to support Litjoy because they do still kind of do Harry Potter related stuff, but I don't buy Harry Potter related stuff from them. I buy other things, and I don't know if they're licensed. I hope they're not. And then number 15 is the books I need to read by the end of the year. And there's a lot of them. I'll just kind of rattle a few off the top of my head, I guess. I need to read 3 more Jane Austens for my Jane Austen reading year. I've got Northanger Abbey for the next 2 months, and then we have to read Emma and Persuasion, which I've already read Persuasion. I think I've read Emma. It's hard because I've seen so many adaptations for so long that like sometimes I'm like, have I actually read all of these? I think the ones I've read before were Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and Persuasion. And then the other 3, I think I've just seen so many adaptations that it feels like I've read them. And then I need to read Intermezzo, obviously. I want to read Private Rights, like I said. I don't know. What else is on my list to read this year? I'm currently reading this book, Dayspring, which I don't know if I'm going to finish by the end of June, but it is phenomenal. I'm really enjoying it. I feel like there's a lot of books that I want to read this year. There's this Cobalt book I want to read, which is about the cobalt mines and everything that's going on there. I'd like to read more Edith Wharton this year. I don't know, there's so many books I want to read, and there's just not enough time. Like I got to catch up on Lore Olympus. There's never enough time to read. We got to pay bills, you know? Anyway, that is everything that I have for the mid-year freakout tag. I have a couple reviews coming for you. I have another installment of my year with Jane Austen coming. I just have to edit that. I will be sharing updates of the new dog over on my newsletter. So please subscribe to that, like I said, down in the subscription. And yeah, I think that's everything. Alfie, he's asleep. Anyway, I will put in a picture of the puppies so you guys can see them and not just their little feetsies sticking up as they sleep. They are enjoying each other's company. It's still early days, so they're not like thoroughly in love with each other yet, but I get the sense, given how sweet they are to each other so far, they're really going to love each other. But yeah, I'm going to tag a bunch of people down below. So if I tagged you, do this. You may have already done it, I'm not sure, but anyway, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I ever wanna go come closer next to me, trying to find another way to say this, but I think